His elect. His elect. What up, spiritual family, and welcome to Mount Fitness MBS Ministry, where I am your host, Brother His Elect Mongoose. If you guys are new to the channel, let me lay some framework, if you will, about what this ministry is all about. This is a holistic mind, body, and spirit ministry. I'll talk about some services, or I'll mention some services towards the end that are provided by this ministry, all of which are designed to help you achieve wholeness and fullness when it comes to being at your absolute best mentally, physically, and spiritually. Another thing that you need to know about this ministry is that this ministry genuinely believes that if you or anybody that you know has evolved to this point to where you are truly judging people by the content of their character. I know it sounds a little bit cliche, but the good book says that we will know a tree by the fruits that it bears. And if you have evolved spiritually to this point to where you're genuinely judging people by the fruit that they bear, and not the mask that they wear, whether that mask is religion, whether it's race, whether it's physical conditioning, whether it's education, financial standing, color, political views, if you have transcended those limited notions, ideas, and old ways, then this ministry believes that you are amongst his chosen elect. So welcome home, family. That's what I got for you guys in terms of the opening. And without further ado, we'll start getting into today's message. A message that is kind of seguitive of today's opening. Because if you are amongst this rare group of people, his elect family members, and you've evolved, you've grown to this point to where you're judging people by what kind of person they are and not their finances and their background and all of that. That makes you a very rare individual. Now, there's a lot of us out here, the Bible refers to us as the great multitude, but by comparison to the over 8 billion people on this planet, there's not a whole lot of us. And it's important that you focus on that truth. Focus on you and who you are. Because everything, most things, a lot of things in the world, in family, in collective society is pulling or attempting to pull us back into these false ideas, these false narratives, these false notions about who we are and how we're supposed to be. And so when you carry this rare, this ancient energy, power, spirit, whatever you want to call it, it's very important that you focus on you and the truth that he downloads to you. For example, we were always taught that, just be yourself. Being yourself will always be good enough. I'm sure most of you guys, if not all of you guys, have heard that growing up. Your parents, your teachers, any kind of counselors that you may have had, your coaches, they've always inspired you and encouraged you to just be yourself. Well, being yourself consists and demands that you focus on yourself. Not in an arrogant way, not in a mean-spirited way, not in a way that's dismissive or belittling of others. No, but just in a whole, in a holistic and in a very genuine and true way, you need to focus on you in order for you to be you. So we have this truth that was organically downloaded to us in our younger years, if you will. But then at some point, due to all the shenanigans, all the deceptions in society, even though we were taught to just be ourselves, we began to get up every single day and be everything other than ourselves. We began to lose ourselves in the ways of the world and to be focused on yourself. That is kind of seguative of today's message, which is being selfish. Key word, being sacredly selfish. To learn how to be sacredly selfish. And that's what we're going to be getting into today. A lot of people, most people, perhaps you yourself, I know me myself at one point, at one time, in a whole bunch of different ways, I engaged in unintentionally, and sometimes perhaps tacitly or intentionally as well, but we've all engaged in self-abandonment. Self-abandonment. When was the last time that you did something that was, and of course I'm not talking about anybody out there that's selfish in what we would consider the traditional sense, a bad sense, a corrupt sense. Well, they're doing something for themselves all the time. They're not caring, they're not considerate, they're not compassionate. That's not sacred selfishness right there. That's what we call selfishness, but that's a little bit, that's what I would kind of, if I zeroed in on a little bit more, I would say that's not selfishness, that's more narcissistic. You know, when you're just doing things, you're putting yourself first, you're not caring, you're not considerate, you're not compassionate, you're not thoughtful, you're not kind about the other person, and what they're going through, and how you need to appropriately navigate doing something for yourself and doing something for others. When you're abandoning everything except yourself and it's just all about you, that's narcissistic selfishness. Let's just call it that. But that's not the selfishness that I'm talking about. I'm talking about sacred selfishness. And I'm going to be breaking that down in today's message because it's important that you, his chosen elect, learn how to incorporate being sacredly selfish. So again, putting the narcissistic selfishness aside, when's the last time that you got up and you was totally organically you? You did something or something, whether it was a single outing, a single event, a single instance, or it was for that whole day or that whole week. When can you honestly say, you know what? I did what was organically me. Whether it was shopping over here and not shopping over there, whether it was telling that person over there, no, I can't help you, whether it was telling that person over there that, yes, I can help you, in spite of all them people laughing at you and mocking at you and trying to convince me why I shouldn't help you, yes, I can help you. When was the last time that you did something, whatever it is, in any kind of circumstances that you can possibly imagine? When was the last time that you were 100% selfish? I'm going to be breaking down what I mean by sacredly selfish. Because the overwhelming majority of the time, people get up each and every day and they do everything but be sacredly selfish. Whether it's in their relationships, we could just start there. We could just let that land. We always have to bend and shape and fold. And there's nothing wrong with that in and of itself. But when you are bending and shaping and folding and morphing in all these different ways, in all these different areas, in order to fit in, to satisfy, to please others, and you're doing so while simultaneously engaging in 100% self-abandonment, that's not who you're called to be. That's not what you're called to be. I'm going to give some examples. As we continue to pull back these layers, I'm going to try and start speeding up here. But say, for example, I'm going to give you some examples of what I mean by sacred selfishness, and then we'll peel back another layer of this onion. So, say, for example, if you needed to learn or figure out or overcome, say, drinking or drugs or criminality, when that time came for you to overcome that, if you or someone you knew, or just throwing an example out there, if there's someone out there who's trying to stop drinking, they have issues with drinking, they have to be selfish in order for them to stop drinking. Or they could keep on, well, you know what, it's my friend's party. Well, you know what, it's the company outing picnic. Well, you know what, that girl, that guy that I like, they're at the only way I get to see them is by going to the bar and drinking with them. They have to engage in abandonment. Well, no, let me rephrase it. By engaging in self-abandonment, they could never achieve the task, the assignment, the duty to stop being, drinking too much. They could never achieve that. The only way they're going to achieve that is to engage in what I'm referring to as sacred selfishness and saying, hey, people are going to be disappointed I didn't show up at the party. You know what? That guy, that girl that I really, really enjoy seeing, we have a great time together. If I go to that bar, know there's going to be drinking, they're going to offer a bottle, where does that leave you? Where does that leave that person? They have to be selfish. That person's going to think I'm being funny because I didn't come to their party. They have to be selfish and not go to that party. We can extrapolate this out and say it's the same thing when it comes to you getting your education. A lot of kids go off to school. Their parents paid all this money for their education. But because they weren't able to engage in sacred selfishness, they went to those parties. They hung out with those people that were going through the parties. They hung out with the people that were smoking marijuana in the classroom, that stayed up late listening to music. They listened to those people that said, oh, you can make it up on the back end. Just go ahead and sleep in this week. We're all going to sleep in. We're having a sleepover, and we'll make it up on the back end. They didn't engage in sacred selfishness, but they should have. They should have said, you know what, in order for me to get my education, I need to do what I have to do. I need to focus on me. Same thing when it goes to losing weight. You want to lose weight. You got a bunch of friends. They're not about losing weight. They haven't made the commitment that you've made. And one of the most popular things that you guys do when y'all spend time with one another is go out and eat. Usually buffets. Usually you have brunch and you go to a movie, and then you have that buffet or that 5-star restaurant dinner. You have to be selfish. You can't be prioritizing someone else. They don't have the goals. They don't have the assignment that you may have. And you don't have to be mean. You don't have to be arrogant. You don't have to be disconsiderate. You don't have to be rude. You don't have to lack compassion. Any of that. That's why it's sacred selfishness, because you learn to continue to be considerate and thoughtful and empathetic, or whatever you need to be, while simultaneously learning how to become sacredly selfish, and realizing that if you don't become sacredly selfish, then how does that benefit you? How does that help you achieve the purpose that you know the universe, God has set before you to achieve. Weight loss, starting a family. You can't start a family when you're going out and all of your homeboys or your homegirls and all they do is go out and party and be promiscuous, and you're trying to start a family. You didn't came across your ideal spouse or whatever. You can't be sitting around talking about, oh, it's their party, they're going to think this way, this and that. You have to be selfish. Sacredly so. And sacredly so, at the risk of a redundancy, means that you remain empathetic, compassionate, thoughtful, prudent, wise, and let these people, to the best of your ability, know what's going on, what's taking place. You're not trying to be mean. You're not trying to be arrogant. You didn't stop caring, but you have to do this. You have to get this done. One of the greatest tricks that the enemy has, one of the greatest lies that's been spawned is that, selfishness is an ugly thing. It's not organic. It's inorganic. It's mean-spirited. It's antisocial. It's narcissist. It's narcissistic. Yes, there is that narcissistic selfishness. But we're talking about a night and day difference. That narcissist, it's all about them. They don't care who they have to let go, who they have to befriend. They got no morals, no integrity. They don't care who gets hurt, who gets left out. They don't care about anything. It's always about them, and that's it, and that's all. That's not what I'm promoting, guys. I'm saying that when the rubber meets the road and you know what you need to do to fulfill something that he has set before you, then anything and anybody that's operating contrary to that, you have to move in wisdom, you have to move in thoughtfulness, you have to move in compassion, you have to move in love and understanding, but you have to move and get her done. And the only way you're going to do that, the good book says that a house that's divided cannot stand. Which to say, you can't be trying to lose the weight. You can't be trying to start the family. You can't be trying to stop drinking. You can't be trying to stop getting your education. But while you're doing that, you're still hanging out with these people that don't prioritize their education. They don't prioritize weight loss. They're not, they're out being promiscuous. They don't prioritize family living. So you have to be thought-wise, considerate, compassionate, caring, and all those different things while learning. It's a journey, guys. And I'm going to talk about it here real quick. It's a journey. It takes time. It takes effort. It takes wisdom, because every time you go through this phase where, dang, that's my friend. Maybe that's my brother, my sister. Somebody I really care about. I want to be at their party, but man, I stopped drinking. So maybe I can be wise and say, let's go to a party, let's go to a brunch before then, and let's just have lunch. We celebrate it that way. Can we do something tomorrow? Let's just go to the beach, just you and I and a couple close friends. Whether we're not going to attend that bar. You comprehend the point that I'm making. You have to be thoughtful. You have to be wise. But you also have to learn how to be sacredly selfish. I'm going to give you some examples of that here real quick, guys. Because let's talk about this thing that we most commonly refer to as God. What do we believe God to be? Loving, compassionate, caring, kind, considerate, all the divine attributes. These are the things that we know about God. Now, we just talked about the things that we have been taught to think is selfish. And again, that categorization of selfish that we have been taught, and it's wise of us to be aware of that. But that's narcissism. That's not sacred selfishness. That's narcissistic selfishness. We're talking about sacred selfishness. So when we talk about selfish, we're taught that, if you just do something for you, or put yourself first, and This and that, that's selfish, that's inorganic, that's mean, that's bad. We've been indoctrinated to think those things about selfishness, as we should when it relates to narcissistic selfishness. Because I'm going to tell you something else about God. In the beginning, as you know, he said, let there be light. And then he saw that that was good. He was pleased by the fact that there was light. And then he said, so forth and so on. Let's separate the heavens from the water. And he saw that that was good. And then he said, okay, let's separate the waters from the land. And he saw that that was good. And then he said, okay, well, let's let there be trees and grass. And he saw that that was good. See where this is going? And then he said, well, let there be animals. And he made all the different animals, and he saw that that was good. See where this is headed? Then he crowned his greatest achievement or his greatest accomplishment as it relates to humanity. He said, let there be man. And he saw that that was good. You comprehend where that was headed. He created everything for himself. He created everything to please him. He saw it was good. He didn't have, what do you think? What do you think? Let me do that. Even when he created his crown achievement as it relates to humanity. And he looked at it and he said, wow, that's pretty great. That's pretty awesome. But I can make that even more awesome because I can give him a helper. And that helper would make him happy. It's going to help him. And in return, that's going to make me happy. You see how that sacred selfishness was at play all along? He even created us, man, women, boy, and girl. For what? To serve and worship him. Sacred selfishness. While having love, thoughtfulness, consideration. What's in the better interest for the animals? What's in the better interest for, the waters and the firmament, dividing the waters from the heaven, and what's in the best for man and woman? Loving, caring, compassionate, thoughtful, wise, but at the same exact time, he did it all for him. Sacredly selfish. This is what the enemy don't want us to realize. The enemy wants us to think, to live this misguided, warped notion that you have to do everything. You have to sacrifice all that you are, the very fabric of you, the very detailed instructions downloaded to you from this thing we call God about who you are, what you're supposed to be, what you're supposed to accomplish, and you're supposed to throw all of that up against the wall or out the back door because you got to be this kind of person for your wife or husband. You got to be this kind of person to get that promotion. You got to be this kind of person to fit in. And if you operate outside of that and you do what you need to do, then you're selfish. You're a bad person. Now look at society. Let me try and wrap this up, guys. Now look at society. Look at yourself. If not, maybe not you personally, but just look. And see what we have with this majority of people living by that creed. Pardon me. Living with this notion that I gotta self-detach. I gotta engage in self-abandonment because if I'm just me, that's not gonna be pleasing to my husband, my wife. That's not gonna be pleasing to my job, my career. It's not gonna make me look good in society. And you got people walking around living a false reality. living a lie, living a blatant, flat out lie about who they are, what they believe in. They don't walk like that. They don't dress like that. They don't talk like that. Heck, they don't even drive like that. That ain't the car they really wanted. It's just society told them that if you live in this financial demographic, this is the car that's in vogue. This is the car you should get. They really wanted that kind of car. People are bent out of shape. People are depressed. People are filled with unfulfillment, a lack of joy, a lack of enthusiasm, all because they're living this inorganic life. They've committed suicide of their spiritual self. They have foregone their right to be sacredly selfish. And then it just boils up and bubbles over. You know what? I got to be this kind of person at work, this kind of person at home. I got to do this. I got to do that. I got to be this. I got to be that. And people are walking around here on edge. No joy. In fact, filled with hatred, disappointment about life, unfulfilled in life. Because they haven't learned. And only this thing that we call God can teach one, or infinite intelligence, prime source. It doesn't matter to me what you call it. But it provides this knowledge, this insight on how to navigate that. Because every time you do something for you that's organically, you that's sacredly selfish, there's going to be that little whisper in your ear trying to get you to, oh no, go to that party. No, you can study next week. Go ahead and hang out. Do this. Go ahead and eat at the buffet. Make your friends feel comfortable. And whatever the case may be, it's going to be that little nagging in your ear, because this is how we've been indoctrinated. That if I do something for me, for my own soul journey, my own divine responsibility, duty, and call, I'm selfish. How's it working for society? You see guys and girls, they got the bag, as you call it. They got the money, they got the promotion, they got the spouse, they got the education. You know, some don't, but either way, most of them are being somebody that they were never meant to be. Prioritizing things at the expense of their own God-given instructions. Now there's steps, there's strategies, there's all kinds of different curriculums that are designed and that can be put in play to help you navigate this terrain about what's narcissistic selfishness and what's sacred selfishness. Reach out to this ministry if I can be of assistance to you. But I can tell you like this. You're trying to please everybody, and you're foregoing that divine spark or essence in you that demands. Sometimes it's situational, sometimes it's circumstantial or based on circumstance, and sometimes it's seasonal. But whatever the case may be, you have to learn how and when to be sacredly selfish. It's not inorganic. It's 100% all natural. You started learning that in school. Be yourself. Focus on yourself. It's only the ways of the world that have tricked us into losing sight of that. But now we're back. We're back online, as they would say. And we understand that that when people forego who they are and always prioritizing everybody and everything else at the expense of their divine assignment, then we can look around in the world and see how that works out. We fully understand that Self-preservation is nature's first law. Self-preservation, to focus on self in a sacred way. I got to get out of here, guys. But self-preservation, if you were drowning, if you were literally drowning, I don't care who's in that water with you. Mom, dad, child, newborn, pastor, old person. I don't care who's there. If you're literally drowning, the only thing you're going to do is try to stop yourself from drowning. You're not going to be trying to help somebody else while you're drowning. It's impossible. It's not organic. If you're falling off of a cliff, and there's this one person up there, I don't care who that person is, mom, dad, child, newborn. If you slip and fall, all of a sudden, the first thing you're going to do is reach out. Not that you're trying to pull that person over with you, but you're going to reach out. You ain't going to even have a thought to think about, dang, it's going to pull them over. You're going to reach out. Not to pull them over, but to just try to catch yourself. Self-preservation, to focus on yourself. Sacred selfishness. These are real things, guys. And again, there's tools and there's levels to this as well. You just don't wake up one day and say, well, I'm going to be sacredly selfish, because we've been indoctrinated and painted into this corner for so long that it's a very slippery slope. And I don't have all the answers, but the answers that I do have been tried, tested, proven, and refined by His glory over so many decades. Again, I don't have all the answers, but I have trodden certain paths that may have some nuggets, or maybe not, may have some nuggets in it for you. Reach out if I could be of assistance to you guys. But it's very organic, and there's nothing wrong with it, and you need to actually learn that. Or it's your life, it's your calling, it's your destiny. So I'll throw a little bit of sarcasm in there and say, or you can get up every day and keep on going to that job. Knowing you really dress like this, you keep on putting on that outfit because people say you should dress a certain way. And I'm not talking about if it's a dress code, it's just, the in vogue culture of the office place, whatever. You can keep on dressing that way and being unhappy, not dressing the way you want to dress, not standing the way you want to stand, not buying the car you want to buy, not doing anything that is organically for you to do. And you can keep circling that mountain in the desert over and over again. Or you can decide to say, you know what? Been there, done that. There's nothing there but unfulfillment. I need to learn how and when to be sacredly selfish. Reach out to this ministry if I can be of service to you. That's what I got for you guys. Hey, listen, the services that are provided by this ministry that are designed to help strengthen and nourish you in the mental you, the physical you, and the spiritual you. These services consist of good old-fashioned motivational speaking, youth and young adult mentoring and counseling, philosophical consultative services, definitely good old-fashioned, clean-hearted spiritual teachings and practices, such as acts of random kindness, acts of self-love, acts of forgiveness, aromatherapy, good old-fashioned fasting, prayer, and meditation, you name it. And yes, there is this ISSA certified fitness training as well. If you'd like some information about the fitness training services, please visit the website at mountfitnessmbs.com. For all of the other services, hit me up by way of that email link that's down in the description box. I'd love the opportunity to detail each and every one of these services, to talk about how they're implemented and how they can be beneficial to you and or your loved ones. Now, if you got any value out of today's message, then please give back to this ministry. It means a great deal. I couldn't put it into words how much it means. When you like, when you subscribe if you aren't already subscribed, when you hit the bell icon, when you leave messages, and more importantly, when you share the message. It means an enormous amount to this ministry. Remember the law of 3 birds with 1 stone. When you help this ministry, 1 bird. When you share the message, you help someone else, 2 birds. And remember, the 3rd bird is you. 3 birds, 1 stone, because he has promised to always be a helper to those who are a helper of others. So do those things. Receive your abundant harvest by faith. If you'd like to make a monetary donation to plant a seed in that regards, the Cash App link is down in the description box as well. I'm out of here, guys. But as always, I encourage you guys to be peaceful, powerful, and prosperous in the mental you, the physical you, and in the spiritual you. That's what I got for you guys. I love you all. His elect family members. I'll see you guys in the next one. And I am his elect brother, Mongoose. And I will holla back.